Know thyself. If we know who we are, not just the name and what you do, but whole construct and how we behave, then we may be able to respond to the stimuli, problems, opportunities, how to deal with them better. So the first part I can think is my thinking. That's part of me, in the brain or in the mind. It's like a computer program and the screen. In my mind, it's a screen that changes depending upon what kind of program I use and what's the purpose, what's the input, what should be the output, the purpose, and then you get things done or not done and learn the lesson and keep on working. It's like a computer simulation that we do in our mind. And we think that's everything because that's what you use your brain for. But that's not all of us. And that's very important, especially relating to how to find the wisdom and compassion or be awakened who we truly are. And that's the lower part or the behind the screen, like operating system in a computer analogy. Or my word is that's the living entity in our body and heart. The mind is like a fake. Words and logic, simulation, opportunity, problem, purpose, what you do, give a feedback, chase this, chase that, respond to this, respond to that. And you may be feeling happy, unhappy, all of that. But we think it's the main part, and that made us different from animals. So it's a tool that we use, but if you're not careful, we get used by the tool. Because everybody's doing, you think you may have to do. That may be right, that could be wrong. And by the use of the brain, depending upon how you are educated or habitual pattern develop, your response will be possibly different from others, and that create conflict. You may find some tribe mentality that group of people may find good, but they may be self-occupied, like an ego as a group. So it's a tricky system there, the operating system, which you want to choose, where the emphasis is, in what order, and how to optimize the performance that you're happy. So again, that's what we may use, lots of computer power or brain power, and that's why the brain's been increasing its volume and the content, and the AI is possibly help or may confuse us as we go through this process of applying the AI in our life. So again, that's part of the who I am, but down deep again is something. It's quite amazing to me because the logic, computer, I understand, but what's inside of me is so magical. And what I see there is, I use the word heart and body, or I can say this like a core of who we are. What's going on there is like an evolution of species from, the living being appeared on Earth, and then virus or amoeba, whatever happened, and the trees and the cabbages and lettuce, and then animals and us. So DNA has been expanding, and there's something there changing biologically, and that is the source of what we are here from the element molecules of the universe, atoms in the universe, to be found as a living being. That's truly amazing, and that's the miracle. And we have that source of miracle operating in us. And for that reason, when we eat lots of stuff, different stuff, but our body figure out what is good, bad for the body, and work out certain hormone, nutrition, and distribute. And without the use of the mind, It's like a decentralized control. The lung and heart, kidney, liver, and all the organs function on their own, just like a customer supply relationship they have. But at the same time, while that's going on, mind would function in a certain way, and there's an interaction between the mind and the body. So you may have a stomach ache, or you may be accelerated to something wonderful, and you feel like a blissful sensation inside of us. So there's biofeedback from what's going on, not in the brain as much, but in our body and heart, and where we have this evolutionary process taking place. And I mentioned about nutrition as an example, but the other example is that when any species are under threat, I can think of the flying fish. I'm sure what I think has happened is that the fish been chased by the big fish, and every now and then they jumped and escaped, and from that experience they figured out what to do. They don't have a mind like we do, so they organically, biologically found the answer to that question and to evolve. And of course we are part of that. So at the core of who we are is that engine of life in the heart or body, and there's an input, there's an output for evolution, also responding to the threat or opportunity and work out the solution. Their solution may not fit to the logic and word because it's beyond that, because logic and words are to play in the mind. What's underneath in our body is, like I said, decentralized way of getting things done to optimize the way so that we can live well. So we need to have a good understanding of that process because we suppress that. Like I often use it, the example of stomach ache. You are busy doing this and that, or whatever the case, and the stomach is hurting, but you ignore it. So if you listen to the heart or the body, the signal of how they are living alive or not would impact us in the sense of possibly developing cancer or something like an ulcer or anything that would violate what the body wants, but the mind is suppressing. So that's an easy way to understand that we have those two systems in the brain and mind and the body and heart on the other. Yet we need to have a good communication linkage instead of the blocking the communication to happen. If we put much emphasis in the brain with the ego, and it's also twisting much to the logic, not looking at the whole picture, but self-centered way of looking at the picture. So instead of having lots of reference to figure out what the world is functioning, you only emphasize your view, and depend on that what you do. It's sub-optimizing. So that would create the problem as much as that may create the ulcer or some physical problem. So that's the reason why any of those boundaries, especially the mind and body, we need to have a connection. And for that to happen, what do? Listen to the heart. Meditate. Feel that breathing in and out, how the body cells responding, inner body sensation. Sadness, watch it. Or stomach hurting, observe, watch it. Stop and observe. Instead of keep driving the mind or the brain machine like a computer, ignoring the base of who we are. We have to connect because that's ultimately is the source of our energy. And without that, your play in the computer cannot last long. You want to have the computer game that you play in the mind because it can be a fake game that you're playing in your imagination. But you want to be truthful. For that, you have to be sincere and truthful to orient your life to listen to your body and understand what the heart is saying as much as the logic is valid from various point of view that we can check. Perhaps AI can help doing that. So that's the two state. Call it the mind state or brain state, and the other one is the body or the heart state. And they are different. The function is different, operating system is different, but there should be a connection so that the operating system can communicate. So that what you do in your mind is reflecting to the goodness, that you can feel aliveness in your body. So the body is happy in what you do as much as the brain is orienting the direction, considering all the impact to the society and all of that to happen. So that's the framework, and therefore the connecting to the root, especially when we are too busy in our mind, we tend to lose that connection, and we may not think there's different universe down below to function for us to live because of our arrogance, and that's not balanced. That's the main thing. The last part that I can talk about is what is the laws of the universe. What brought us on this earth is basically atoms, whatever configuration, put together and found the protein, whatever, nitrogen connected, oxygen, this, that, and we found the first living being, and we became one of them after so much millions of years of evolution. But this law of the universe, I tend to think, would stay constant because it's law. So if we identify, not in the mind and the ego, whatever, but even beyond the body's function, to find the source of this body functioning is reflecting the laws of the universe functioning. Then if you identify you, not anymore you, but you become this laws of the universe, then you are the source of all the manifestation of the living being and the way of the universe, as much as operating system of how we use our mind. So this may sound very idealistic view, but after thinking about things in the brain and connecting to the heart by meditation or inner body sensation and blissful sensation, awakening, and what is the core? Everything is impermanent, but the core, the laws of the universe, I don't say it's impermanent. Or it could be impermanent, but there's a driving force of impermanence. So I think that's the term that I use, the laws of the universe. That's the origin of the engine of the whole universe. So when we empty out, because everything is impermanent, the notion of me changes. So it goes back to nothingness. But the nothingness includes that law of the universe to make us to be alive again. If you happen to be another human being or not, it doesn't matter, but the universe may provide any way of manifesting what we may be. But we retain the core, the source, the seeds, the laws of the universe. Everything is representing that. So you empty out to connect to the source and be identified with that, the laws of the universe with you. Then everything out there, including you, is a manifestation of that. And that's a wonderful sense that while I don't exist, I'm with the laws of the universe, and I can hear the cicada singing, sky, blue sky and cloud, and the little hut sitting there in the shade, and just be. That's the essence of who we are. Don't be afraid of losing you. To lose you will find that essence. That's eternal, if you want to call that. Because that's the source of all the manifestation of everything, including your body, heart, mind, brain, and the cicada and the cloud. So at peace, be at peace at home. Whatever is happening within the framework in the mind of impermanence, there is no self, no mind, and the eternal home. That's the source. Be happy with that. Thank you.